Well, hello and welcome back. And in this video, I'm going to do two things. First, I will schedule the next step tasks in my brain dump in such a way that I will perform those tasks using the concept of batching. And then we will finish up this video and this section of the course by looking at how you keep your brain dump mind map updated and current. But before we schedule the tasks, let's discuss batching. Now, batching is very simply a way of working where you group some or all of your similar tasks together and you work on those similar tasks in the same block of time. For example, if you have emails to write or online research to do, then you do some or all of those tasks during the same session, even if those tasks are related to completely different projects or items in your mind map. The idea is that by working on similar tasks together, you get into a mindset. This allows you to gain some momentum and to power through those tasks more quickly and more efficiently than if you were simply jumping from one type of task to another in a relatively short period of time. So let's look at our brain dump mind map and open the left-hand navigation menu. Now, I've got 13 different types of tasks here, as indicated by the different markers and labels shown in the menu. So these tasks are already batched together by the fact that we've added the markers and the labels to the various items in the mind map. So now I'm going to schedule them in my calendar so I can do all these tasks over the next 2 weeks. And here's the way I've scheduled these items in the upcoming 2 weeks. I've simply chosen to work on different blocks of tasks on different days. Now you'll notice I'm not being overly ambitious and I'm not trying to work on 2 or more blocks in any one day, as I know if I do that, I'll be setting myself up to fail. And if I don't execute some tasks on the days I've scheduled them, I'm going to feel quite upset at myself that I haven't lived up to my own schedule. So deliberately start off by setting an easy to achieve schedule. You can always outperform your own schedule if you want. Okay, well, now it's time to actually do some of these tasks. And all I can recommend is what we discussed in the first video. Find somewhere quiet to work where you will not be disturbed. Switch off any distracting messaging or email software and begin work. Now, if it seems a little daunting to sit down and approach a group of tasks in this way and you feel yourself procrastinating a bit, then just promise yourself that you're only going to work for 5 minutes. Once you actually start working, you're going to get into a role and power through many of the tasks you've set for yourself. Procrastination is, after all, just the fear of starting. Okay, so we've scheduled our tasks, we've batched them together, we've worked on a few, and we've accomplished a few things. So what happens now? Well, obviously, you need to keep your brain up to date. If you don't, then a cluttered and a distracted mindset is going to return soon enough, unfortunately. So you need to revisit your brain dump routinely to update it, to add new next steps to some of the items, and to add entirely new items into your mind map. Now, you can set a specific time each week to sit down and update your mind map, or you can update your map in real time as you work through your tasks. So how exactly do we perform an update? Well, you've got a few options and you can choose whichever one makes more sense to you. For an item where we haven't completed the task, but the status of the work has changed, the status of the task has changed in some way, then we simply make a status change. If we're using the task marker to indicate the status of the task, then we change that to roughly indicate how much of the task we've completed, and then we could add some current information into that task. And we can do that either by adding a new subtopic or by adding a note into the task itself. Now, if you've completely finished one of the items in your brain dump and there are no more next tasks associated with that item, then you've got a couple of choices. You can simply delete the item from your brain dump, and if it's something that you never need to bother with again, that's obviously the best way to go. Or if it's an item you might need to return to at some point in the future, perhaps to update somebody else on the status of this task, then you can add a done or completed node to your mind map. and simply move the completed task from where it is in your brain dump into that done node. And don't forget to mark it as completed. And finally, for items in your brain dump that are going to have a number of tasks before they're complete, when you finish the next step, you're obviously going to then need to add a new next step. Then you can do one of two things, depending on which makes the most logical sense to you. You can simply add the new next step to your mind map and mark the old step as done and mark the new one as undone. So you keep both the old step and the new step and you just show the difference in status on both. Or you can simply delete one next step and add the next one to your map. And once again, if you don't want to delete something, then simply move it to your done node. When it comes to adding new items and updates to your brain dump, please don't just rely on your memory to do this. As we mentioned earlier, I strongly recommend looking at simple to use apps for your phone that would allow you to capture new tasks, ideas, and commitments as they pop up. You can then simply pull out your phone, write down that item, and you can add it to your brain dump when the time comes. So, what I'd like you to do is open your calendar and schedule blocks of time when you're going to work on the various items in your mind map, the batches of tasks. And then add a day and time when you're going to return to your mind map and update it. And obviously you're going to want to update your mind map after you've accomplished a certain number of the tasks in your brain dump. For those of you that have not been working on your own brain dump as we worked through these videos, then I strongly encourage you to at least try brain dumping for 2 or 3 weeks and see how it works for you. I promise you that the process will really help free your mind from the stress of trying to keep all those loose ends in your memory, and it will allow you much greater peace of mind. And keep in mind that the lessons in this section are a guide to the process. If it makes more sense to you to alter some of the ideas, instructions, or ways of working that we've discussed, then please go ahead and do so. Well, that's it for the brain dump section of this course. If you have any questions or comments, then please let me know and I'll only be too happy to reply to you. And as always, thank you very much for your time.